Rob Lewis and Mike Wilson.
Coach, just, what jumped out at you watching the film? What were you most disappointed with from Saturday?
I thought that we had too many breakdowns defensively, Rob. Some ball screen action, started the game, not getting matched up, which is you can't do that, obviously. And when we gave up a couple baskets where I think a couple guys had been out there too long in the second half and didn't get back and didn't get our defense set the way we have to. I think the young guys are trying to do too much, which that's not their fault necessarily, where they're trying to create and do some things, but they're going to have to now understand what's too much and what's not enough and get right there in the middle, which we knew we would go through a little bit of that when we started changing, playing through the guards more so than the inside. But we still need an inside game. We still need we need Eve and John searching for shots, and they've had opportunities where they catch it, they wait too long, but overall just and we had some great looks when they were able to stretch the game out. They made some threes, and we had a couple just wide open looks that we didn't make, and that's part of it. But it just felt like we were fighting uphill all game long because of some breakdowns that we haven't had as often as you might think. And our one-on-one defense, they hurt us with at the point position where they were able to get just break us down on some straight line drives.
Rick, what's Olivier giving you lately, and is given some of the struggles for other forwards, is he looking at a longer leash potentially once he gets on the court?
We do think he's better, but we felt like that at times. We're hoping this time it is. We thought defensively he was as good as he had been. We still want him to be more more active and more athletic. We think that he's an athlete. We see it, but he's got to put it out there, and we don't want him to be timid. We want him to go in and play with reckless abandon in some areas. He's capable of blocking shots, but he did. We thought Saturday was maybe the most he's been locked in from a scouting report, where he was really, you could tell he was really thinking when he was in the game and really concentrating on the things that he needs to do for us.
Grant and Nicholas Hill.
Rick, have you dealt with the team inconsistency like this one has been over the last few weeks in your coaching career? And do you think, given the timing, it's fixable before March, and obviously a sport where you're going to have some consistent success in a tournament sport to have success?
Well, you know what? I think sometimes, too, we got to give credit to our opponent, too. It's not like we're going to overwhelm anybody in the league with talent. We're talented, but there's a lot of teams in the league that have talent, too. And, when talented teams play, sometimes it gets down to who's making shots more, who might be doing this or doing that, or who's playing better that day. Do I think where we are is fixable? Absolutely. And I think that's the exciting thing about it is that, we haven't played to the ability that I think that we can. And for that to happen, we need our guys, the guys that have been through it longer, to be more consistent. I think the more consistent they are and the more balanced we are, we've got to get we definitely need Eve and John Fulkerson and VJ Bailey. We need those guys playing at the level that we know they're capable of. And the two young guys, I think they're working hard. I do. I think they're playing hard. And like I said, they have the attitude that we want them to have. They're just learning that not every game is the same. Like what you did in one game, we talk to them about it. We try to show them as much as we can, but some of that's going to be experience. They're playing the most minutes they've ever played in their life, probably at a high level. They both weren't very good overall defensively Saturday because of, and I think fatigue had a little bit to do with it. And that's where I know that we can get better with that, where they understand that on the offensive end, they did exert some energy, sometimes in some areas where they didn't need to. They got a crowd around them, took some tough shots when they should have kicked out to open shooters that are good shooters. But if they're going to rest, they're going to have to rest on the offensive end. They can't rest on the defensive end. And as you mature, you learn how to do that. You learn how to work a game as a player, because everybody's going to get winded. You've got to learn how to how to do that in a game without giving up easy baskets on the defensive end. And but the fact is, if we could get everybody playing at the level that we think we can be. But to answer your question, have we coached teams that have been inconsistent? We have. And this one is different because there's and it's not just us. I think some teams obviously around the country probably been able to do a little bit smoother, but there's a lot of teams I think have gone through this because of just the difference in the year. And but I will say this: I think these guys have continued to work, and I know they know that we can get better and we can play better than we have in some situations.
Coach, how has John Fulkerson responded to being benched on Saturday? And do you think he's taken the steps off the court to get back into the starting lineup?
What was that?
How did he respond to coming off the bench?
I think it helped him in some ways because you know what? We showed him. If he would do what he did the first 3 minutes he came into the game, he ran the floor. Now we couple great passes to him. He had a rim shot. He had another one where before he even thought about scoring. And that's what I'm talking about, hunting shots. He had the ball right where we wanted it, and instead of looking to score, he passed the ball out there was nobody around him. He had no reason to pass it out. He was right where he should be. Then he had a really good slip play that where he got the ball there, but was lazy going to the rim and got it blocked. And those should be dunks. That's 4 points that he should have had, and that he didn't. But what he did, and he got his hands on some balls that he broke loose that we were able to come up with, but again, I don't think it matters to him one way because I do know he cares enough about himself and this team that he wants to do well. But if he can just bottle what he did, and I can't tell you why he looks tired, I don't know. Well, I do know. I think he's had a year where he's been game planned for hard, and teams have come after him really hard, and they're trying to be physical with him. But he showed Saturday, if you really watch the game the way through our eyes, when he first came in the game, that's the John Fulkerson that we know that he can be. He's just going to have to do it longer, and if he could do it for 25 minutes a night, 26, it would help us a lot. But like I said, he did it for 2.5, 3 minutes where he was doing what he needed to do. He had a few busted ball screen plays where I don't know why we asked him because he's been doing it longer than anybody, and those shouldn't happen. But he'll be fine, and we'll keep figuring out what we want to do with the lineup. Again, I don't think it matters. I've told you guys before who starts, but we still need 7, 8 guys playing at a very high level and playing into the 20 minutes plus for this team to be what we need it to be.
After probably more than a year away, all the way from Milwaukee, we'll welcome back Steve McGarrigy.
Oh, my goodness.
Good talking to you. I was just wondering, we're doing a story on the differences in the NCAA tournament selection process this year with the S-curve, not as much focus on geography, obviously. I was wondering how you thought that might give it a different look this year, and how difficult do you think it's going to be to kind of evaluate teams with so few non-conference games compared to usual?
Steve, I'm not sure it's going to be a lot of difference. There's going to because I do know this from day one, the NCAA committee, they're working, they're out, they're watching games, and they're looking at it. I think they will obviously take into consideration how different teams have had to deal with the COVID, and but I think it will go back probably like the way it used to be, maybe back in the 90s, early 2000s, where you got to look at it when the numbers might not tell the tale. You have to look at it because their charge is really to put the 68 best teams in the tournament, whatever that may be. And with a year like we have right now, is it more difficult without all the computer stuff that I guess they used to use? I don't know enough about to really tell you that. They could tell you that, but I do know this, that they will be as fair and as responsible as they possibly can be to get the best 68 teams, because we know the tournament represents every state in the country, and it's a huge event for our country. And I just know that the basketball committee, they've taken it serious from day one to make sure they can get their eyes on as much and as many games. And I'd be shocked if that committee hasn't watched every game at every level that they've been able to get.
Go to Mike Wilson, Rob Lewis, and Ben McKee.
Yeah, Rick, you guys have 3 games left in the schedule, but also 3 open dates and games to make up. Do you have any understanding of how that process might work in terms of, will the SEC try to schedule you with the teams you didn't play, or is it just going to be kind of wherever you can fit in games against whomever?
Mike, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure exactly how the SEC's done it. I don't know if they've just gone back from like day one and gone from game 1 it was missed, 2, 3. I don't know how they do it. I think I think they've done a great job with trying to get us through this year. And we have, like you said, the 3 open dates. I don't know. I really don't know how it will be. And but I would be surprised if those games aren't made up. Some games made up some way, somehow. What the rhythm will be, I don't know. I'm not sure anybody knows right now, other than the fact that they're going to, because of the weather going on around the country right now, other things that pop up right now that could cancel games this week. I mean, I just don't think we know.
Coach, just the South Carolina scout, what jumps out to you about Frank's team? What do you have to take away? What do they do well?
Well, as you know, his teams are always playing hard, a little bit different than a year ago because of the amount of time that they've missed. I mean, there's not a better coach in the country, and his team still, there's just in their DNA the ability to play really hard and turn people over. They rebound the ball, and I think right now they're playing at like the 10th fastest pace in the country, which is not what I think in the past you would associate that with him. But I think he's done an unbelievable job in the amount of time that he's had to practice to make the adjustments that he's made. Because anytime you go up against his team, it's going to be a hard-fought basketball game, because they're going to compete at every level. They're going to play every possession like it matters. And like I said, they're in the gaps, hard gaps, and they do a great job of those gap strips. Where in the past they might have been out in the passing lane more, but to run the kind of defense that he normally likes to run, it does take time and a lot of work day in and day out, which no one teaches it any better than he does. And so he's had to make some adjustments, and that's why he is the coach that he is.
Coach, Santiago made his debut about a year ago or just over a year ago against LSU. And then the most recent game, obviously, LSU. Just in that time period, how would you assess how far Santiago has come, and how would you assess his play right now?
He's come a long ways, obviously. He was not in shape at all, and what he did a year ago was really pretty phenomenal. But I think he's learning now that people are game planning for him at a very high level. They're trying to get him in as many ball screen situations or isolation situations, and he's learning that. But he's a better defender than people might think, and you see him whenever he brings the ball down the floor, people are trying to get into him and harass him like that. Which he's very stubborn in the fact that I've told him many times. I tell Jaden, I tell any of the other guards, why make him go through that? Just go get the ball, let him, because he's great moving without the ball. But he's not afraid of the pressure at all. He's really not. But I think he's learning a lot. He's still young. He's still young to the game, and I think he's going to continue to get better. And we need him to again play at a speed and he's comfortable playing at a quick speed. But he's come a long way. He really has, and he's continuing to learn a lot. But he's going to continue to get better as time goes on.
Rob and Mike.
Coach, did you see this coming with Jaden? Because I guess he had maybe his worst offensive game of the year at Ole Miss, and then since then he's just been on a tear. Did you see the light coming on for him like it has the last 3 games?
Well, do you know if he's going to score at the level he's going to score at? I don't know if you ever see that. We knew that he was, first of all, Jaden's a really good passer. He's learning too, like the other night. And what you like about him, And you got to throw Keon in there too. They're not afraid to go and initiate play, which we've needed that. You know, we want it from other guys. We want it from Eve. We want it from Fulky. You know, we want it from all of our guys. We want them to be aggressive. Those guys they've done it, but and like I said, Saturday Jaden made a couple of terrific passes. He took 2 shots that he should have kicked out, but like Keon's learning, you know, you're not going to be able to continue to spin, and we've told him that. But sometimes you got to keep getting burnt until you understand it. But Jaden, again, I'm not surprised. You know, throughout watching him in high school, he's a major league competitor. A lot stronger. You have no idea how strong he is in his lower body. He has worked really hard on shooting the basketball, and it's obvious he's done a good job with that. He's always been a great finisher around the rim. He's got the mid-range game, and I think the biggest thing that he's done, Rob, he's learned how to play through fatigue for the first time in his life, to where he's really playing hard, and you hit that wall, and he's figured out how to get through it as opposed to hitting it and getting knocked back. It's taken some time to do that. But and some of that, too, is, I've said it before, that missing the summer, missing a normal year, that's probably where it's hurt he and Keon's conditioning more. But now that we're at this point in time of the year, they've had to play their way in shape, and whereas they're normally in shape before this time. But that's the biggest thing I think both of those guys have done, where they've gone from playing 24, 26 minutes a game, where they've been out there, 30-plus, and for the most part being productive on both ends.
Rick, what have you seen from Victor Bailey Jr. over the course of the last month? And is anything going on with him, just kind of the struggle of being a kind of a volume shooter, trying to find other ways to impact the game when you're not getting all those shots?
Yeah, I think you hit it right there, Mike. I think you're right. I think that, VJ is learning to play basketball in a different way, understanding that you can impact a game when you're not making shots, whereas in the past, that's where he saw his worth, and we still need him to do that. We still need him to take open shots and be aggressive, but learning to guard is on and off the ball is important, obviously, but he is a good enough player that he should be able to impact the game, whether he's making shots. And but we still want him to be who he is in that area. But yet, like all of our guys, we can't trade baskets. You can't do that to win the way we want to win. We're going to have to get stops at some point in time. And he's gotten better with that. I think he's gotten much better at understanding what we're trying to do as a team. He has spent a lot of time recently trying to, in practice, play the point, which that'll help him learn how to impact the game from an offensive end. And then it obviously puts him in a lot of ball screen situations in practice. So those areas is where he needed work, and he's getting that kind of rep sooner or later. I just think it's going to all show up for him.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.